Thank you so much.
Yes, Nicole, sorry, please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I wanted to thank you guys very much for doing this. I know it's a big move for a lot of our agents to make the transition to Velocity. And I think that the team has set up some really, really good sessions to really tackle all of what Velocity can do for everybody. I know I'm a very big supporter of Velocity and love it. And there's stuff that it does that I didn't even know it had the capability to do. So I think that everybody's going to get a lot out of this. And the team's great.
Awesome.
So you guys are all in great hands. And with that, I'll turn
Awesome.
it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. So let me begin by introducing myself and Ali once again. For those of you who just joined the call, guys, my name is Mihir. I am a velocity trainer with Newton Connectivity Systems based out of Scarborough. And today with us, we have Ali. She is also a velocity trainer and a compliance expert at RMA. So whenever you have got any RMA specific questions or issues, uh, please feel free to reach out to her. I'm going to say that on her behalf. I, I I hope Ali, you don't mind. But yeah,
Not at all.
she's definitely fun to work with, guys. So please do reach out to any of us if you have any questions. What I'm also going to do before I begin the meeting is I'm going to share an email address in the meeting chat. And that email address is trainingteam@newton.ca. And I'll tell you what actually happens when you send an email to this address. Your email gets sent out to all the velocity trainers we have at Newton, along with the account managers. So at least one of the persons that's available will definitely pick up your email and they'll respond to any questions that you have. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to share my direct email address. So just give me one quick second. That's my email address. Feel free to reach out to me. And I would also like to request everyone to please put yourself on mute. And just another request, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me right then and there. But I have a request. If possible, please try to raise your hand because we've got so many participants today on the call. It'll be a little easier to manage that way. On that note, let us get started with session number one. So in today's session, we are going to talk about a very important tool that Velocity has to offer, which is called client experience. And before I start sharing my screen, let me tell you what exactly is client experience, right? So client experience is a feature, a system that is built into Velocity that enables your clients to submit online applications to you. But here's the real question. Why should you even use it? What's in it for you? So here's the thing. Most high volume brokers that I have worked with at DLCG prefer using client experience because it helps them save a lot of time when it comes to data entry. Number two, the language that is used in the entire application is very, very simple and straightforward English. So no complex mortgage terminology is used, which can potentially confuse your clients. The online application is also mobile responsive, so it's going to automatically fit to the screen size, whether it's a small or a relatively bigger mobile screen, doesn't really matter. There's also one more optional tool that you can use with client experience. We call it smart rules. And what that essentially means is, depending on the answers a client provides during an online application, Velocity can automatically request for documents. So let's take an example here. Let's say, for instance, a client says that they work for ABC Consulting Group. It's a job, and they've been working for the company for the last 3 years, as an example. Velocity will automatically request for a pay stub, an employment letter, NOA, T4, and if that person, let's say, has also indicated that they are separated, it's going to ask for a separation agreement, right? So it's actually called smart rules. Yes, it is not necessary that you have to use it, but it is definitely something that again helps you save a lot of time, right? Your clients can also get access to a client dashboard if they choose to create an account, and they will also see a to-do list of documents. They will also be able to see the updates of a deal as and when it progresses. So for instance, when you submit the deal to a lender, it's visible to them. If the lender approves the application, again, it's visible to them. But if the lender declines the application, it will not show them, right? If it is at an underwriting stage, it'll actually show them that. So that's also something really helpful. Now, when it comes to any online system like this, security is a very critical consideration. So having said that, client experience is FIPS 140 by 2 compliant system that uses 256-bit of AES encryption. Yes, the entire system, the entire platform is encrypted. So what are we going to do in today's session? I'm going to, first of all, submit an online application to myself and show you what the client interface looks like. Then I will also show you what that deal looks like in Velocity. We will also be learning how you can connect your email addresses into Velocity. And then we will also talk about a few settings and what that deal looks like, right? So far, so good. Please give me a thumbs up if everyone's okay with that. Amazing. Perfect. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen. And just give me 1 second here. Perfect. Is everyone able to see my screen? Please give me a thumbs up. Great. So, guys, Velocity is a cloud-based application, which means if you install, for example, Google Chrome or Safari into any of your computers, tablets, mobile phones, you can log into the platform into each of those devices all at the same time, right? So to log into the platform, one of the ways is, of course, you would go into your MCC intranets, and then you have a Velocity button in there. One more method of logging in is head to our website, which is newton.ca, and then hit the login button over here at the top right. And when you hit this login button, under a section called for brokers, you will see a Velocity login option. And when you click on that button, that's the page you would go to. It's going to request you to enter a username and a password. Now, just in case, if there's anyone that has forgotten their password, you can always click on the forgot password button over here. Follow the instructions, you'll receive an email, and then you can click on that link in the email to reset your password. Now, the moment you hit this login button over here, you will be taken to what we call as a membership page on the platform. And the membership page also offers a lot of important information to you. For instance, over here at the top left, the text that I have highlighted, that's going to be your Velocity username. So let's assume this scenario. If there's someone who needs me to log into their account because probably you want me to review an application or probably support you in completing your Velocity profile, what I need from you is your Velocity username so that I can log into the correct account and I can support you with any questions or issues that you have, right? So that's going to be your Velocity username. We'll talk about these two purple buttons shortly, but what I want to specifically reference here is Newton customer care contact information. So when you have any how to do something in Velocity questions, you can reach out to me or you can send an email to training team at Newton and someone will respond to you. But while you're working on your deals, let's assume that, for instance, the submission isn't going through, or the GDS or TDS is off the charts, so it's not making sense, or if you have any urgent technical problem, please reach out to Newton customer care directly. Especially when you need their help, like right now, please call them on this 1877 number. And if your request or complaint can wait, please send them an email. When you send them an email, it auto converts into a ticket for which a reference number will again be shared with you automatically. Now, our customer care works from Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right? So far, so good, guys. Any questions for me? All right, perfect. So you can see two buttons over here, the Velocity button and the Discovery button. When you hit the Velocity button, you'll be taken to the home page of Velocity. And if you click the Discovery button, you'll be taken to a totally different place, which is like a shopping mall for you to search different types of mortgage products. You've got a lot of filters over here, client-related filters over here towards the left side. And then you can also make comparative scenarios. You've got that over here at the top. In the future, what's going to happen is on our newly created interface, that is Velocity 3, Discovery will be integrated within the deal. So then you'll be able to go into Discovery from the deal, and depending on the profile of your client, it's going to filter a list of products for you, right? This is definitely a free tool to use. So yes, please definitely take advantage of it. All the lenders have been informed by Newton that they are supposed to keep their products updated. If any lender does not update their products for more than 30 days, we entirely remove that product from the platform, right? So that's that. So I'm going to close Discovery for now, and let's click this Velocity button over here. All right. Now let's talk about different ways in which applications can be created on the platform. So your first option is, of course, whenever you're ready, you can begin an application manually. How can you do that? Hit this Add button over here in the sidebar and click on Application. You can just type your client's first name, last name. You can ignore everything else. Click on Add Application, and system will take you inside the deal, and you can just start keying in all the information. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is, for every Velocity account that we have generated, a unique online application link is assigned to that account, which works 24/7. Any of your clients can go to their account and they can submit an online application to you. And you may or may not believe me if I say this to you, but there are so many brokers at DLCG, they receive applications literally 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And why do I say that? It's because when a client completes an application, you receive a notification email, right? So even when they are sleeping or probably doing something else, they are receiving applications, right? So that's a big one. Now let me show you where that link is located. So when you click on your initials at the top right, and then go to profile, which is the second option in the drop down, on the profile page under client experience settings, this is where you will see your app URL. And feel free to test it out. Simply hit this blue copy button over here, go to a new window on your browser, paste the link and hit enter. You'll exactly see what your clients are going to see when they want to begin an application with you. Now, on the same client experience settings, once your referral mortgage logo is uploaded over here, the same logo will also appear over here. One thing you can always do is next to the brokerage brand logo, you can also put your picture, so the clients relate more to your particular link. Now you can also take this one step further. For instance, put this on your websites under an apply now button or any of your landing pages that you have. That's one thing you can do. Another thing that you can do is copy and put this link on your social media handles wherever you create and share content, right? You can also use it with any campaigns or any templates that you have. And you can also take this one step further by generating a QR code for this link, and you can print that QR code into any of your print media. Generating a QR code on Google Chrome is very straightforward. I've just copied the link over here. All you have to do is right click anywhere on the page and create QR code for this page. And there we go. Right. Now, personally, I don't like dinosaurs, which is right over here. I don't know why, but I have a thing. I don't like dinosaurs. So if you are also someone who doesn't like dinosaurs, what you can always do is go to Canva and then generate a nice, colorful, pretty link, right? And then you can always use that, right? So that's one thing. So this is going to be one of the ways, the second way in which an application can come to you. Third is you can create a client experience template, right? So if you look at this picture, this was also created on Canva. And then I have got a very basic and a very simple wording over here, a short email that's basically requesting the client to submit online application. And since on the settings page, my email signature has been set up, it is automatically picked up over here. And along with that, what I have done is I've uploaded a closing cost PDF and a homeowner's guide. So when this email is sent out to the client, these two attachments go out with my email, right? So disclosing lots and lots of information up front with the client. Now, you also have a very good starting point. So if you click on this add a template blue button over here, you will see there are default templates already set up for you. For instance, this is purchasing a new property. The content is the same for each one of them. It's just that we've used different pictures over here. So you can start from here or use any of your favorite AI bots and you can just generate your content. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be the broker and I'm also going to be the client. So from my own Velocity account, I'm going to send myself an invitation to submit an online application. So you'll learn how that's done. And then I will actually do an application and show you what that looks like, right? So far, so good. Any questions before I start? All right. I hope I'm not boring everyone. Hope not. All right. So let's begin. So to submit or to invite a client to submit an online application to you, you would go back to this add button and then go to client experience. Type the first name, type the last name, and type the email address where you want to send the template. After typing in the details, click on add borrower so that the applicant information is added over here. Once that is done, hit this blue next button. And on this particular pop-up, which is called experience template, you have to choose which template you are sending them as an email. So I'm going to choose my custom email, something which I've already created. So there we go. Now hit the next button. Just in case if you want to edit this particular email before it is being sent out to the client, you can obviously do that. Now please note over here it says percentage first name and then percentage last name. The purpose of this is for the template to automatically lift the client's name the way you have typed it on the previous page, right? So I'm going to hit the next button once again. We'll talk about this a bit later. For now, I'm just going to use my smart rules because I just want you guys to see what an online application with automated conditions would look like. And then simply hit the send button over here. Wait for a few seconds and you should see a success message over here at the top right. It says your client experience email has been sent. So now just give me a second. What I'm going to do is go into my Outlook and I'm going to show you what that email looks like when a client actually receives it, right? So I'm just waiting for that email. Perfect, I received it. And this is what the email looks like. So let's understand this email from the top. My first name, my last name, but it says no reply at newton.ca. That's because in my Velocity account, I haven't still connected my email address. Meaning a client still gets your invitation to submit an application. It's just that it doesn't happen from your email address. But if your email address was connected on the settings page, you will also see a copy of this email in your sent folders. So it becomes a little easier for you to track. Now, if you notice, the first name percentage, last name percentage, that's automatically replaced with my first and last name. You did not see a get started button when I was showing the template to you, but when the client gets an email from you, they will see this button over here. And when they click on this button, they are taken to your online application link. Now, to start an application, first of all, they have to agree to the terms and conditions. They can either start by creating an account or continue as a guest. If they click on continue as a guest, they are straight away taken to the questions of the online application. However, we want to promote creating more accounts, and that's the reason what we've done is we've highlighted a few benefits of account creation over here. For now, I'm just going to go as a guest. So the entire application is divided into several sections. You've got getting started. The next one in line is borrowers. The next one is income, banking, assets, properties, review, and submit. I'm going to keep this application a little simple. So we're going to go with a purchase rather than a refinance or a renewal where I might be required to enter a lot of additional pieces of information. So what are you looking forward to do? And I'm going to say buying a property. Have you already found a property? I'm going to say yes, no, let's just say no, I haven't. What's the purchase price you're considering? I'm just going to put in a simple amount, 1 million. How much down payment you have? I'm going to say 30%. How do you intend to use this property? I'm going to live in it. Do you have a realtor? I'm going to say yes. And the next question that pops up is, did your realtor refer you to us? I'm also going to say yes. And the reason I'm saying yes to both of these questions is because that's when the referral partner's information is requested from your client. What I'm going to do is I'm going to type in Carly's information. Does everyone know Carly? Yeah? All right. Fabulous. So let's just say, and let's put in her email too. And I'm going to click on continue. So I've just completed one of the sections. Now in Velocity, here's the thing. Whether you begin an application manually or whether it's an online application, you can add up to maximum 4 applicants. So a client can add up to maximum 4. You'd be able to do the same, right? So for now, I'm just going to go with 1 applicant. So that's my first name, that's my last name. And guys, one thing I missed out is wherever you see this asterisk, those are mandatory fields they always have to fill out. So my email address is here, and I'm hoping, there we go. That's a cell phone number. Let's put in a date of birth. All right. Where do you currently live? I'm just going to add an address over here too. Perfect. Yes, Tim, you have a question for me.
Yeah, just go back up to the social media handle. Can you please just explain a little more in regards to this? Because I saw this before when I was doing my own testing of this. I just didn't understand what this meant. Please.
Yeah, so let's say if you would like to follow a client on their social media handle, they can always click on this drop down. For instance, if they are on LinkedIn, they can select that and they can copy the link of their social media handle over here so that it becomes easy for you to follow them.
So you're basically asking them to provide their social media handle so that
That is
you
correct.
can. Okay, okay.
Yes, yes. But yes, since it's not something without, like, you can definitely work on an application without a social media handle. So it's not mandatory. But yes, we do have that question over here, right?
Is there any way of us removing that question and then, but at the same time, in the application or the CRM or the client profile, having the ability to add that information ourselves so that we could stop them another time, another.
Yeah, so unfortunately, there is no way to edit the questions that are asked in the client experience, whether it is this or any other question. It's pretty much standard. But if you want to add a client's social media handle into Velocity on their client profile, that's very much possible. You would actually go to contacts and list. This is where you would see your entire Velocity database. Go into any client's profile, and over here, you have an option to add social media handles, right? Yeah,
Awesome. Thank
you're welcome. Perfect. Let's go on. So I've added my address. What's your living status? I'm going to say I rent. How much is your rent? I'm just going to put in a random number. Let's just say 2015 and continue. If a client has been living at a specific address for less than 3 years, Velocity will request them to enter another address. And that's the reason I just entered something which, so that it doesn't ask me to add one more. I'm just going to hit the continue button. Let's go to income. And I am going to say I am employed. And yes, this is my current employment. Name of the company, ABC Consulting Group. That's the job title. Full-time. Do you receive bonuses, overtime, or commission? I wish. Benefits, yes. All right. And let's just put in a salary number over here. And how long have you worked in this industry? Let's say 10 years. And I'm just going to pick a random number over here too. Yes, Tim.
And again, I'm just going to ask you because you asked us to ask questions through the whole process. Why
Yes,
are
yes,
you
yes.
asking if they are receiving benefits? What's the point of this?
So
I can answer that, Mahir, if you'd like.
yeah.
So the reason you want to ask for benefits is because sometimes those benefits are used for qualifying. So for example, they may be receiving a car allowance, they may be receiving a housing allowance. Sometimes we use that for qualifying. So if your ratios are a little tight and you see receives benefits, then that's an opening for you as the agent to say, okay, what are some of those benefits? Because for example, I had a couple that I was financing and we needed just a little bit more to make it work. And the housing allowance, because we could prove that it was a taxable benefit, we were able to use that to qualify, and we brought our ratios down just enough to make the deal work.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Ali. All right, so let's go on, and I'm going to hit this continue button over here. I'm not adding any additional sources of income, but yes, a client can click on this add income button and they can add multiple sources. Just going to hit the continue button for now. Banking information, I'm not going to add any bank information for the time being, but yes, they can if they want, like an available balance, and then it'll also ask them a question, will you be using this for your down payment? But I'm not going to add any of that right now. Next question is, do you have life insurance? I'm going to say yes. Now, the reason this question actually popped up in client experience is because on your profile page, under client experience settings, you have a section here called customizations. And then there is a toggle over here called life insurance and referrals. When these two toggles are left on, the life insurance question pops up. If you turn these off, those questions will be removed, just in case if anyone wants to remove them. Let's hit the continue button. Assets, I'm just not going to add anything for now, or maybe let me just add something very simple. Let's just say gift from family. And let's just say 50,000. And will you be using this asset for your down payment? I'm going to say yes and continue. Continue. Do you own any properties? No. And continue. Continue. Now, this is one final step. The client gets to review every answer that they have given in the entire application. And this is your client's one last opportunity to edit the answers before this application is submitted to you. Because once it is submitted, they cannot edit anything. Only you can edit the information in Velocity. So, review page. Now, there's no section for them to mention liabilities because when you pull bureaus, that's any which way is going to happen. But if they still want to, there's a way to do it. I'm going to show you that too. So, they would hit the continue button. They will be again prompted to create an account, but not at all mandatory. They can continue as a guest and skip that. And over here, they can mention any additional notes. So for instance, I'm going to say liabilities. Let's say credit card, $4,000. Car loan, just going to use some numbers over here. Say $20,000. All right. So after the notes, there's a CASL consent. So guys, CASL stands for Canadian Anti-Spam Legislation. And unless and until your clients are not opted into CASL, your Velocity CRM will not be able to send them any marketing emails, right? So of course, there is a way for you to manually add them into CASL, even if they haven't opted in, but this is their opportunity to just add themselves into your Velocity CRM, right? So CASL consent is required. It's right over here. So that's one. Insurance referral consent. I'm just going to give that. Now, if you notice, It's also asking for a client consent, and there is an asterisk. It's also asking for a PEP declaration, and there is an asterisk, which means these two are mandatory, right? Unless and until the client does not give you those consents, the submit application button will remain grayed out. So from this point, an application can take two directions. Let's talk about the first one, which is, let's assume the client hasn't spoken to you yet and probably is not really very comfortable giving you a credit consent or a PEP at this point of time. In that scenario, since there is no submit button, they might simply go ahead and close this particular application. But even in that scenario, Velocity has already recorded that information. Over here on the top right, you've got a ribbon, and when you actually click on that ribbon, you will see that an agent is submitting an application right now. It says it started. And if a credit consent and a PEP is given, the progress bar will say received. And if someone simply closes this page, over here it'll say my God, I'm forgetting the word. But yeah, it'll say abandoned, right? That is what it'll say. In red, it'll be mentioned abandoned. But for now, let's go ahead and give the consent. So I'm going to say credit consent, yes. Now, PEP is really interesting because this is one of the conditions that makes your deals FinTrack compliant. And if someone says that, yes, they are a PEP, they will be requested to answer additional questions. But if they say no, then that's it. All right. Besides that, that's about it. Ignore test one because this is a demonstration velocity account. So you will see all kinds of consents that we are doing and testing out. And now, after the consents are provided, a client hits this submit application button. And this is exactly what it says. Our robots are currently working hard. And that's about it. The application has been submitted. What happens in this scenario is, number one, you being the agent will immediately receive an email from Velocity, which will provide you with the file number and will say that you have a new application waiting for you to review. The client will then receive another email, and in that email, they will be requested to start uploading a set of documents. What also happens is a credit consent PDF and a PEP PDF is also automatically generated and stored in the deal, right? Now, let me show you all these things that I'm talking about. So let's go to the application. Let's go here.
Mihir, just before we continue on, there's one question in the chat to highlight. Does the application ask for the client's work address as well? I may have missed that.
The work address is not mandatory, but yes, it is asked. Yeah. So yeah, that is that. That's the application, guys, which I submitted to myself right now. Let's go into the deal. Now, let's understand a few things about the deal. So when it comes to the deal screen, I like dividing this into three parts. So you've got the borrower's assets, liabilities, and properties, subject property, mortgage request, and the last one is insurance. These are essentially your application. So that's one thing. Conditions and documents is a place where conditions are created. You upload documents. You can create your compliance documents in there. A lot of other things you can do in there. And in fact, this section is so vast that we have a dedicated session to talk about only conditions and documents. It's got so many things that it can offer, like splitting PDF files. When a JPEG or a PNG is uploaded, it auto converts into a PDF. If a client gives you a PDF that includes a pay stub and an employment letter, you can split them into two separate PDFs and upload them into either of the conditions. There's so many things you can do here. So that's that. Now, let's review all the information. So that's the deal. And that's the applicant name which I entered. Over here at the top, you can see the castle is opted in. And here's all the information. Now, one more thing you can do is when you are reviewing a file, you can minimize the sidebar if required, because sometimes I feel it is distracting me while working on deals. So you can click on this arrow over here and you can minimize the sidebar. So that's one thing you can do. Then next to the actions button over here at the top right, if you click on this icon, you can minimize the top bar so that only the file number is visible to you. So that's one thing. But then if you also want absolutely clean view just of the deals, at the bottom right, you've got this particular circle. And if you click on that, you will completely get rid of the sidebar and the top bar. And then you can simply navigate between all of your applications, like the entire application, and just go through all the information that is required. If you click back on this particular circle, it'll come back, right? So that's one thing. Now, if you notice, over here it says, for example, salutation, and right under that, there is a drop down for me to select it. So again, this is something which can be changed. If you click here, next to the smiley over here at the top right, there is an option for you to choose your custom layout. So if you click here, and if you choose label placements as left, notice how it moved. Now everything is in one straight line, right? Earlier, it said salutation and the drop down was right under. And now if I say above, it changes. If I constantly click on left and above, you will actually see the difference. So that's one thing you can do over here. Now, another thing that you can also do is, depending on the size of the screen that you are working on, you can also decrease the size of your fonts. And I'm not referring to what Google Chrome has to offer. All you have to do is, under layout mode, simply select compact, and you will see the difference. So compact mode is specifically for someone who's used to working on a smaller screen size, versus the regular layout mode is for someone who uses generally a huge screen, right? So that's also a few things that you can do over here. Now, within this deal, if you would like to add one more applicant, click on this Add Borrower button over here and simply start typing the name of the applicant. If that applicant is already in your database, you will actually see it says it's right over here. And if you select any of the applicant's information and click Add Borrower, it kind of maps and gets that information for you and puts it in the deal. All right, so there we go. Now we've got one more applicant added over here. And if you want, let's say, a third one, click on Add Borrower, and you can just go ahead and add up to 4 applicants into the deal. All right, so that's all the information. Now, if you look at the current address, there's a copy and a move button over here. So if you click on this button, and if you simply drag and drop, it's going to put this question: are you moving or are you copying this particular address? If you just say copy and click save, that address gets popped up over here. So you don't have to go through that process of adding or manually inputting all that information. Once again, you still have the same button even when it comes to previous addresses, right? And that's also the employment information. Depending on all the info that I have entered, it's already right in here, right? That is the employment address. I didn't enter it, but of course you can go ahead and enter it once you have that information, right? Annual income, job status, everything's right in here. Let's go to assets, liabilities, and properties.
Actually, Mihir, before we move on, can we just highlight the where we can make a note that the client has a holding company?
Yes. So there should be a checkbox over here. It says holding company. You can check off the box, and then you can just mention the name of the holding company, right? That's probably a question that Ali gets almost every single time.
Maybe not every single
Yeah.
time, but there's enough of us that have like small time investor clients, and there's nothing more
Yeah.
frustrating than you haven't run a credit bureau for this additional borrower. Great.
Yes. So guys, I have a question for everyone. How many of you are already using Google Chrome? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, quite a lot of people. So here's always one thing you can do. Let's assume this scenario, all right? Let's assume this scenario that you really didn't know where is the holding company. Like, is if that is anywhere on this page, because when you are really working at a speed, you're looking and scanning through the deal, it's really hard to look for this little checkbox over here. So here's what you can do. Hit Control F or Command F on Google Chrome, and you will see a search bar over here. Now, this is a search bar only for Google Chrome. Type holding, and then you will see these arrows over here. You can click on these arrows, and it's going to show you where is that information, right? So whenever you are on Google Chrome, not just Velocity, but doing anything on Google Chrome, you can always use its native search function, and you can search for anything that you're looking for, right? So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Ali. It reminded me to show this too.
No problem. We also had two
Right.
questions come in for if someone doesn't use Google Chrome or uses Safari instead, if you know if there's a similar feature.
Safari. That's a very good question, but I'm not really very sure about that. Because I live and breathe on Google Chrome all the time. But yeah, I mean, if you Google it, you should definitely find something. But I think it should work. The Command or Control F should work on Safari too, right? All right, so let's go to assets, liabilities, and properties, a very important section because that's where you're also pulling your bureaus. So you've got this Add Credit Bureau button over here. When you click on this button, at the top, you have got a vendor dropdown, which will display the name of your credit bureaus, Equifax and TransUnion. You would select the name of the vendor. Simply check off the first box so that both the applicant names or all applicant names are selected. Choose how did you get an authorization to pull the bureaus, for example, in writing. Then choose a date on which that authorization was obtained, for example, 7th of April. You would definitely want to choose copy liabilities because we want the liabilities to automatically populate into the deal. You would have to do the same thing for the other applicant. And then when you actually click on the Request Credit Bureaus button, the entire page is going to refresh and two things will actually happen before we go to the question. And that is, over here in this credit bureau section, you will have an option to view and download the old and the new version of the bureaus. Both will be visible to you in there. So depending on whatever is your preference. And then the liabilities from the bureaus should automatically populate in the liability section over here, which is right under credit bureaus. Sometimes if the systems are down, liabilities do not auto-populate, but just next to that PDF which I'm talking about, there will be a copy liabilities button for you. So you press the button and the liabilities will be copied in this particular section. Yes, Abdur, you have a question for me.
Yes, thank you. I tried to use the velocity for my last couple of deals. I have two questions actually. So how do I know that my client gave us that auto consent when they used my application link? Is there anywhere that can shows here as soon as the client submit that we can see they gave us that client consent?
You mean to say credit consent?
Yes, the client
Yeah.
consent.
So when you actually go here to conditions and documents, if you see a list of conditions that have automatically popped up over here, this is based on smart rules. And then you have got over here consent confirmation. This is the credit consent. Now,
So,
next to this consent confirmation, you can see this green paperclip. So you can
Mhm.
directly click on this paperclip or just expand the condition and view the document. And this is what a credit consent should look like.
So perfect. So client already before submitting that application, they already consented, and we
That's
can
correct.
verify right here that whether they
Yes,
did it, so we can pull the credit, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
the follow-up question, sorry, maybe you're gonna explain a little bit later, but before I forget, I'm gonna ask.
Yeah.
So when I pull the credit bureau and copied all the liabilities, I
Mm-hmm.
see the balance was right, but the payment information was not actually the correct one. So I had to manually overwrite it to reflect the actual payment. Is there any reason why Velocity does that?
So are you saying that the payment information was correct in the bureaus, but when it copied down to Velocity, it was incorrect?
Yes.
Ali probably wants to say something, or David.
Yeah, so are you talking about like, so a
I think
car
it's the
loan?
difference between biweekly or monthly. I think he means
Yeah,
like sometimes it shows biweekly payments on the bureau, but when
yeah.
it's
So
reporting the liabilities, it'll do it as
yeah,
monthly.
like most systems like Philogic, Scarlet, Velocity, they'll always try to default to the monthly payment. So if the clients are paying weekly or biweekly, you're going to have to go and double check that payment using the right calculations. Or sometimes it doesn't pick up between like a secured line of credit versus an unsecured line of credit, especially depending on how the lenders actually report the information. So like with any other platform, you're still going to have to go through and make sure those payments are what they're supposed to be for qualifying purposes.
Okay.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ali.
And one thing I
Now,
am going to say before we move on, so under your liability section, after you've pulled your credit report, there will be another button that shows up that says send to lender. It'll have a list of the credit reports that you've had. You're not going to see it here because there isn't an active credit report, but on your screen, post pulling the credit, select the send to lender button, or you're going to get frustrated with that validation error. Because sometimes so I've had it where I've had a canceled file and I have to copy to a new file because it's a new deal, new property, like if a purchase falls through, for example. But my credit bureau might be just past that 30-day window and I have to pull a new one. So you're going to want to specify to the system, hey, this is the one you actually want to send to the lender. Otherwise, it might try to default to the old one.
perfect. Thank you so much, Ali. All right, so let's move on. Of course, there is a property section here. You can always click on add property and you can add all the properties which they own. And if there is any mortgage information that you have, which of course you would, if there is a mortgage on it, you can always go ahead and add that info. Now, you might remember there was a notes section in there where I had mentioned a few liabilities. So if you click on this orange notes button over here, you will see whatever it is that the client has noted down, right? And just for your information, the notes button over here, these are not your lender submission notes. These are your secret notes that no one can see. Yay, right? So feel free to type anything you want over here because that's only you who's seeing them, right? So where are the lender notes? That's something we will cover now because we still haven't reached that part yet. But ultimately, these notes, the notes button over here, that's only for your reference, right? No one else sees that. Let's go to subject property. We will not be spending much time over here because it is the same thing that you enter from your MLS listings. You would just type in an address. It pops up, select one, it gets added, and then you can just enter all other information if required. So it's the same thing that you enter in any system at all, right? From your MLS listings. Let's go to mortgage request because this is the section from where you're submitting the applications to the lenders. So over here, you've got no lender selected and no product. So to add a lender or a product, click on the lenders and products button over here, and you will see it's giving you an option to choose a lender. What I have also done is I've added my favorite lenders, and that's the reason you'll see a few names over here. But you do have a search bar. So let's say, for instance, if I type RMG, it's right over here. Or let's say, for example, if I want to try RFA or Home Trust, and then you would click on the name of the lender, which is when you'll be able to see the products that they offer. Now, what if you want to simply change the lender because you were just shopping around? So you've got a change lender button also over here. When you click on this button, you can go ahead and select any other lender. Now, towards the right side, you do have got filters to filter out the application. Maybe you're looking for an approval. Maybe you're looking for a mortgage, and maybe the rate type is variable, right? So you'll be able to see all the info, and then you can also reset these filters so that it cleans up, and then you'll see the entire product list once again. When you click on any of these products, you'll be able to see the rate, the term. But having said that, it's not necessary. You always have to go with the rate which is mentioned here. You still can edit the rate. because you'll have the perfect information, right? So go ahead and select the product. The page will refresh. You'll see the lender and the product info over here, and that is the rate. Feel free to simply change the rate if required. The purchase price, the down payment was already mentioned when I did an online application. But here's one more important thing, guys, I want to bring up over here, and that is how do you print applications in Velocity? Right. So you can see that over here at the top, the deal status is new. Now, here's the logic we've built in Velocity. Unless and until the deal status is not submitted and beyond, system will not show you a print application button. So there's a trick to do it. Right over here under view submissions, submission products, there is an option for you to mark the deal as submitted instead of actually submitting the deal to the lender. You're only marking it as submitted. So if you look at next to the file number, there is a deal status which says new. If I check off this box that says mark as submitted, now the status has changed to submitted. Then you would go to the actions button over here at the top, and now you have a print application option. When you click on it, it generates a printable PDF file which downloads into your local computer. And then you might also want to change the deal back to new, otherwise you'll feel that it's already submitted and how come the lender is not responding to you, which is not the case. So unmark the deal as submitted and the status will go backwards to new. So before we go to questions, just one thing, whenever you're ready to submit the deal, you will be hitting this button over here called submit to lender. Or if you go to the actions button, there's one more submit to lender option right over here. Yes, Tim, you have a question for me.
I do. So
Yeah.
just going back to what you said, if by any chance I mark this deal off as being submitted, does the client receive any type of email or text message notification?
No, they won't.
Okay.
They won't. Yeah. Right. So that is that. You've got mortgage details over here, mortgage breakdown. You can choose all the payment frequencies. Qualifying details is basically your stress test, and everything else is just the same. Lender submission notes, very, very important. That is right over here under submission notes. And when the lender types in a message, that is also visible to you in this particular section. But here's the difference. Whenever a lender makes a comment, you will always receive an email from Velocity so that you can come to this particular section and view those notes, right? Yes, Abdur, you have a question for me.
So for the qualification rate, sometimes some systems is automatically adjust when you put like the current rate. But Velocity, I feel I saw that the Velocity needs to be manually adjust that. Is there any way we can do it automatic? For example, if I'm changing the actual rate there, the qualifying rate will reflect that 2%. Is there any way to do that?
Yeah, so just yesterday, Abdur, we had a conversation internally regarding making this automated. And we've already raised it to the developers. And
Perfect.
let's say that in about a month's time, I'm assuming that it will be automated. Yeah. It's
Okay,
good you
thank
brought
you.
it up because we just had a conversation yesterday.
Yeah, because it's always easy. It's always adjusted, right? When you're pre-qualifying someone, so you
Yeah.
don't have to just go down there and change it manually. So.
Yes. Yes. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. So those are your lender submission notes. Now let's very quickly go to conditions and documents, and then we'll call it a day. This is a list of conditions that were automatically included in the file based on the answers I, as a client, provided to myself as the broker. Number one. Number two, you see a green paperclip for consent confirmation, which is a credit consent, and another PDF, which is the PEP declaration. You can always go ahead and view the document. Each document will always include a digital ID, IP address from where the application was submitted to you, along with a date and a timestamp. Right? So super helpful when it comes to compliance. Besides that, the other two AML conditions are also added. One of them is sanction screening, which is going to help you screen clients on UN and Canadian sanctions list. And another one is the borrower AML risk assessment, right? So this is where we'll stop, and we'll exactly start from here in the next session. Open for any questions that you guys have. Yes, Abdur.
Quick questions. Can we, is there gonna be any options to auto-populate the submission note, or we have to type it in?
So once again, thank you so much for asking that question because that is in the final stages right now. But that I'm afraid it's not going to be free. On Velocity 3, on the settings page, we offer a Chat GPT and Gemini integration that happens through a paid API key. So what you basically do is go to OpenAI's website or Google Studio, you generate an API key, add your credit card information so that you connect these tools into Velocity. What's going to then happen is within the deal, there will be a few buttons for you to click, and then it'll automatically create your submission notes. And depending on how many tokens were used on either of these AI platforms, these platforms will accordingly bill you. But I'm based on, because I'm also studying artificial intelligence, so probably I'm in a position to comment on this. I don't think it's going to cost you or agents more than $5 to $7 a month. That's my assumption, though, depending on my understanding of tokenization and AI.
Here, if so with for all of our emails at referral, we're all hosted through Gmail, where we get Gemini included. So would that Gemini account be sufficient for connecting then
Unfortunately,
with this
no.
Velocity instance?
No, it won't be. So what you would actually do is hit the connect button, hit get an API key, and if you notice, it takes you to a different website called Google AI Studio, where you are generating an API key and then setting up your credit card info. So that's going to be additionally what everyone has to pay
Okay,
in
so
order to use
it's a
that.
different layer than the regular
Yes.
Gemini. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now, that also brings me to something important, guys, and I assure you I will not take more than 30 seconds to explain this. How will you connect your referral mortgage's email address into Velocity? So here's what you have to do. Click on choose a mail service, and from the drop down, select Gmail. The moment you select Gmail, it should show like this. Then click on sign in with Google, and you'll be presented with the following question: cancel or switch to legacy? Switch to legacy. And it's going to send you back to the older version of Velocity that we have. So you'll have to do the same thing again. Click on choose a mail service and select Gmail. But this time, when you click on sign in with Google, it's going to take you to a different page. Now select the email address you want to connect. And you will be presented with this following question. Google will allow Newton Velocity to access info. You need to click on the continue button. The moment you click on continue, you will go to the next page. Do not click continue without checking off this box, which says send email on your behalf, and then click continue. Give it a few seconds, and you will see that your Gmail is connected to Velocity. Then in order to go back into Velocity 3, head to Me button at the top right, click on Velocity 3 Beta, which is the second last option in the drop down, and it's going to take you back to where we were before. If there is anyone on the call who is having any issues in connecting their email addresses to Velocity like this, please send me an email directly and I will look into it. All right. And on that note, we have come to an end.
I was going to say, there's a few questions that came in through the chat. So Tim is asking, he has a Gemini account and a personal Gmail. Can he connect that, or does it have to be the referralmortgages.com Gmail?
So it's not necessary that it has to be a referral. It should be an email address you're using for client communication.
I think Tim, the difference is that like for the Gmail, you'll want to connect your referral one for regular email. The Gemini link, he's saying that the Gemini that you get through Gmail is not sufficient for this. It's like a separate type of Gemini subscription.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate. I was asking a question before that when you asked, so Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Ali, is there any other question
Yeah,
that?
another one, any plans on Claude integration?
Very good question, and it's something that even I'm personally looking forward to because I'm on Claude. But up until now, no, we don't have any plans for integrating Claude, at least as of now. But yeah, let's see. Let's see about that.
The last one is, what information does AI access in Velocity?
Actually, it's nothing because there's no way we do not maintain a chat history. Once an AI is connected, you will see an AI assist button over here, and it can be used only for text generation. That's all. It cannot be used for anything else. Right.
Nothing else has come up in the chat.
Yes. All right.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. A lot of information for them.
Yes. Yes.
Actually,
Yes.
I do have a question.
Please go
I
ahead.
have used Velocity about 4 years ago.
Okay.
They used to have mini courses we could go into through Newton, where basically we could just study what we wanted to look at. So if we were wanting to set something up and we don't remember everything you just said because information is constipation or will create it, we could actually refer back to that and just follow through on that particular one, not having to call anybody or just walk ourselves through it. Is that still available?
Yeah. So if you go to our website, newton.ca, oops, it's just newton.ca. And if you click this learn button over here, you'll be taken to a Velocity train line where we've divided learning resources into shorter videos and content and step-by-steps. So if that is what works for you. And then if you actually go over here to menu and then join a training session. We also host live online sessions twice every month. And what we've done is we've added the previously recorded sessions over here too, so you can just access them through the website.
Excellent. So basically on the portion where we're actually learning ourselves in the first part before you go to this one here, that one should have pretty much everything we've covered, especially on the setup side. Am I correct?
Yes, yes.
Including if we're going to be using AI or if we're going to be connecting our emails and everything else, it'll just basically walk us through nice and easy.
Yes, yes, it is. It is there. It is definitely there.
Okay,
but then when
thanks.
it comes to setup, there are just a few things you have to do. Ensuring that your Manulife registration is complete, your credit bureaus are connected, and your email address is connected. Right. I mean, that's the most basic thing you'll be doing. Usually and let me stop the call recording now. Give me 1 second, guys.